Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist is a novel that has been written by Charles Dickens. So, before moving on to what is the story of the novel, let's just get an overview of the characters. Though in the story you'll find so many characters, but here we have some main characters. So, among those main characters, the first one is Mr. Sowerberry, the undertaker to whom Oliver is apprenticed to be a criminal. And then we have Fagin. Fagin it takes homeless children and trains them to be pickpockets. Like he trains them to be a thief. Then we have Nancy. Nancy is one of the Fagin's former child pickpockets. And then we have Rose. Rose is the novel's model of female virtue. She establishes a loving relationship with Oliver even before it is revealed that the two are related. Later on in the novel, we get to know that Rose is aunt of Oliver. Mr. Brownlow is such a gentleman who serves as Oliver's first benefactor. He behaves with compassion and common sense and emerges as a natural leader. Then we have Bill Sykes. Bill Sykes is a brutal professional burglar brought up in Fagin's gang. Then we have Mr. Bumble. Mr. Bumble is a minor church official for the workhouse where Oliver is born. Oliver also used to work in his workhouse. And then we have Noah. Noah is a charity boy and Mr. Sowerberry's apprentice. Now let's just move on to what is the summary of the novel. Oliver Twist is born in a workhouse in England. His mother, whose name no one knows, is found on the street and dies just after Oliver's birth. Oliver spends the first 9 years of life in a badly run home for young orphans and then is transferred to a workhouse for adults. After the other boys bully Oliver into asking for more gruel at the end of a meal, Mr. Bumble, the parish beadle, offers £5 to anyone who will take the boy away from the workhouse. Oliver narrowly escapes being apprenticed to a brutish chimney sweep and eventually apprenticed to a local undertaker, Mr. Sowerberry. When the undertaker's other apprentice, Noah, makes disparaging comments about Oliver's mother, Oliver attacks him and incurs the Sowerberry's wrath. Desperate, Oliver runs away at dawn and travels toward London. Outside London, Oliver, starved and exhausted, meets Jack Dawkins, a boy of his own age. Jack offers him shelter in the London house of his benefactor, Fagin. It turns out that Fagin is a career criminal who trains orphan boys to pickpockets for him. After a few days of training, Oliver is sent on a pickpocketing mission with two other boys when he sees them swipe a pickpocket from a gentleman. Oliver is horrified and runs off. He is caught but narrowly escapes being convicted of theft. Mr. Brownlow, the man whose handkerchief was stolen, takes the feverish Oliver to his home and nurses him back to health. Mr. Brownlow is struck by Oliver's resemblance to a portrait of a young woman that hangs in his house. Oliver thrives in Mr. Brownlow's home, but two young adults, they are in Fagin's gang, Bill Sykes and his lover Nancy, capture Oliver and return him to Fagin. Fagin sends Oliver to assist Sykes in a burglary. Oliver is shot by a servant of the house, and after Sykes' escape is taken in by the woman who lives there, Mrs. Maylie, and her beautiful adopted niece Rose. They grow fond of Oliver and spend an idyllic summer with them in the countryside, but Fagin and a mysterious man named Monks are set on recapturing Oliver. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Oliver's mother left behind a gold locket when she died. Monks obtains and destroys that locket. When the Maylies come to London, Nancy meets secretly with Rose and informs her of Fagin's designs, but a member of Fagin's gang overhears the conversation. When the word of Nancy's disclosure reaches Sykes, he brutally murders Nancy and flees London. Pursued by his guilty conscience and as an angry mob, he inadvertently hangs himself by trying to escape. Mr. Brownlow, with whom Melis had reunited, Oliver confronts Monks and brings the truth about Oliver's parentage from him. It is revealed that Monks is Oliver's half-brother. Their father, Mr. Leaford, was unhappily married to a wealthy woman and had an affair with Oliver's mother, Agnes Fleming. Monks has been pursuing Oliver all along in the hopes of ensuring that his half-brother is deprived of his share of family inheritance. Mr. Brownlow forces Monks to sign over Oliver's share to Oliver. Moreover, it is discovered that Rose is Agnes' younger sister, hence Oliver's aunt. Fagin is hung for his crimes. Finally, Mr. Brownlow adopts Oliver, and then the Maylies retire to a blissful blissful existence in the countryside. Nancy and Bill Sykes have brought Oliver to Fagin. When Oliver arrives there, the other pickpockets over there, they try to find out what is in the pockets of Oliver also, and they not only find out what is in pockets, they also turn over the pages of the book so that they may find some money over there. Fagin is angry over here because Oliver left him earlier, and now Fagin picks up a stick and tries to hit Oliver, where Nancy tries to stop Fagin, to which Bell Sykes gets angry, and he reminds Nancy that she is also one of them. She's also a pickpocket, she's also a thief. Now, Mr. Brownlow is disappointed. Why is he disappointed? Because he thought that Oliver is a nice boy, and now he's thinking that Oliver has stolen his money and he hasn't returned back. And only we know the truth. Mr. Brownlow is unaware of the truth where Oliver is. Mr. Bumble's story of Oliver. Mr. Bumble now arrives at Mr. Brownlow's place, and he tells him that Oliver had been living with Mr. Bumble, and he was the caretaker of Oliver once. In the next part, Monks, we get to know that Monks is a person that has arrived to Fagin. Now, Fagin is talking to Monks, and Monks tells Fagin that he needs a boy to help him in robbing a place. Now, in the other part, we get to know that Bill Sykes is also planning on robbing a place, and for that purpose, he also needs a boy, and Oliver is the boy that is best suitable for his plan. They keep on discussing over it, and then they finally went to sleep. And that's all for us. Thank you so much.